I love being a dad. Woo! Hola, ¿qué tal? This is Noan El Boricua, and welcome, bienvenido a otro episodio de Fuel Pasión Fridays. Yo, it's so cool to be able to just be with you guys, and I'm really excited because of the fact that this is now officially, because I did give a little shout out on the last episode, we are now going into Father's Day weekend. And also, it's not only that, but we're also the opportunity. Well, actually, I'm not going to say yet, but I'm just really excited because of the fact that this Father's Day, we're actually going to be with our family, my brother-in-law, and I'm excited to be with them. Both of my kids are going to be with me. As many know, our oldest son lives in another state, as he's doing his school and his work. And I'm just excited because we're going to be together with family. So I wanted to share this time with you guys. And I just want to be very transparent, right? And I think for me, one of the biggest challenges was that my mother and father were divorced at a very young age for me. And it wasn't until my abuelita actually took us in. And it was really cool because of the fact that, my father did his best. My mom and dad, they were not perfect people. They were amazing parents. But I will say that my dad was the one that took us on. And it was kind of tough for him, many people may or may not know, but both of my parents are no longer with me. They went on to be in heaven. But one of the biggest things that I do remember when I was growing up was how much my dad used to always just crack jokes. He would always do the most funniest things. He used to love playing like wrestling games. But he was like one, my dad was over 6 feet tall. And two, my dad was a solid dude. Like, he did not care. He was very competitive. But it was really cool. And the other thing that I love about my dad is that he always reinforced that we are great. He would always say there is greatness within you, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And let me tell you, I know there's a lot of people that grew up only with their mom, right? And their mom, rightfully so, is almost like a shout out to her for Father's Day weekend. But I also know that we do have some dads out there that have put in the grind. I know there's dads out there that may not be the most loving, caring, touchy-feeling kind of dad, but their affirmation of the type of work that they do, the affirmation of being there when nobody else was willing to be there, and sometimes their sheer presence alone just speaks volumes. And for me, my dad, my papi, I'm a small dude. I'm only 5'3", last time I checked, right? I'm only 5'3", but I remember my father would always tell me that there's a giant of greatness within me, and that people need to know that, and that I should walk and have the swagger. My dad always used to say, "You need to have that swagger, son." And I appreciate him because he instilled that in me at a very young age, that nobody can tell me otherwise. And if I need to get to the next level, then I need to find the right people to get me there. So I'm really grateful that my dad was really there for me. He kind of taught me those things. But I also know that one of the things that I remember that was a very unique journey and transition was when my dad would come home from work, and he would always bring us like some type of toy from the liquor store. And it was just the gesture of like giving us something to just like, that was his love language. And for me, that was like really cool. And I remember like, it wasn't so much about the toy. I was just excited to see my dad. Yeah, he had to like take a shower and all that, but we would just wanted to play with him, Unfortunately, it wasn't, and I've shared this, in other videos, it wasn't until fast forward, my father got in a very horrific accident, in the ship, because he worked in the docks in San Pedro, California, and he was an oil engineer. So he would go in like the tankers and make sure that everything was good. And it was when he was climbing, like in one of the tankers, that there was like an oil leak, and it was on one of the steps of the ladder, and he slipped. And my dad had to like jam his leg as he was falling in order to catch himself so he wouldn't fall all the way to the bottom. And it was there where he completely shattered all the ligaments in his leg. Fast forward, he ended up losing his job. There was layoffs, there was cuts, and my dad went to a hard transition. Now, my dad is very educated, very certified, but he still went back to school in order to be able to find a new line of work. But I remember that fast forward in my junior year, my father broke down to my brother and me, and he said all he ever wished was to be able to still buy us something, to be able to come every day. And it was in that moment that I realized that it's not about the material things, but again, this is for me. It was just a sheer presence that my father was willing to be there. And again, I didn't know my side of my mom's story because she wasn't around. But in the moment, that moment for my father, I wanted to console him. And we did. We cried together. We all hugged because we didn't care about the toys. Granted, I mean, I don't know, we were in high school, so I mean, we just wanted him to be there because he wasn't around. He was always gone. But I knew that he was trying his best. Look, there's a lot of things we find out about our parents as we get older. And there's sympathy and compassion and the keyword empathy. I just kind of wanted to, like, as I always reflect for Father's Day, my hope is that, you know, in the photo that you saw of my boys, that I hope I've been a good example. I hope that I've given them the opportunity to show what a man of God does, what a leader does, what a husband does, and really how do we pay this forward. You know, a lot of my life of growing up with my boys when they were young was them seeing me pour into the community. And I sometimes reflect and think about, man, like I was trying to be a fatherly figure to those that were fatherless while my kids were with me. So my hope and prayer is they understand that they got to see the model of what it is to be a dad. And again, I don't have it all. Look, I make mistakes. You know, one of the greatest things that ever happened that really made me reflect when my wife told me, hey, you need to stop putting time in this and you need to dedicate time to your son. This is prior to our youngest son being born. And that was it, you know. My son he's good, my oldest son, because he didn't really like baseball, but he wanted me to be there with him. And I had a chance to be his coach. And I know if you're watching this, son, you know the moment where we would be in the car, true story. I would tell my son, look, we're about to get out of the car. It's no longer Papi and son. It's now coach and player. So I hope you understand that if I get at you, it's because I'm treating you as a player. I appreciate you, son. I really appreciate you for understanding those moments. And when we would get back in the car, it was like reset, you know. Fast forward to our youngest son, Noah. If you're watching this, you know, he would play soccer, AYSO, and it was always fun because at that point I knew that my son just wanted to have fun because that's the sport that he loves. So for me, I didn't know nothing about soccer. You know, I tried, you know, and it was cool because I remember that I actually like watched a bunch of YouTube videos because there wasn't enough volunteers to do the flagging ref. I don't know. You guys know what I mean. The guy that runs down the line and he kind of like out of bounds or offsides. And I had the opportunity to do that. And I remember I got all dressed up, you know, my gear. I wanted to make sure I looked legit. And it was a lot of fun. You know, I really got into it. But more importantly, I used to always love being able to ask my son during like a break or a moment, and he would come over, I would give him his water, and I would just be like, are you having fun? And poor guy, he's like sweating. I bet you, son, you'd be like, well, you know, looking at me like, what? You know, but he's like, yeah, I'm having fun, you know, or he would tell me, I'm frustrated, you know, and it's just a matter of just readjust, look to your teammates and have fun. And I think that's really a big part of it, you know. My wife, thank you, because she always taught me to like make sure we support our kids in whatever they want to do. Yeah, I just want to say to all you fathers out there, keep doing your best. All we ask is to just be present, try your best, be intentional. Look, it's not about the quantity of time. It's about the quality of time that we spend with our loved ones. Happy Father's Day. Dios les bendiga. Check us out, fuelpasionpodcast.com. Y como siempre, cultura, faith y conexiones.